there.
Okay, so today we are, well, I'm Karen Smith. Sorry, I should probably step back and introduce myself. I have been in real estate for almost 6 years. March will be 6 years now. So I got licensed in 2015, and I've only been with Keller Williams. So I started here. I love it here. This is why I joined, was the training here. That, you know, when I went and interviewed other brokerages, I just loved the culture and loved Ignite and Bold and everything, all the classes that were offered. So I'm excited. And I was sitting in a class like this, and this is, you know, obviously your real estate license teaches you, you know, you get your license, but that doesn't really teach you like how to do an open house or how to do a buyer's consultation. So these are the classes that I really dug into and got a lot out of. So happy to teach it. So I first started, I was on a team with Brian Kemp, and probably about 2 years into that, about 2017, I started my own. My office is right over here on this bottom floor for the smart group. So if you have any questions, and I also put my phone number up there. Those of you on Zoom is 614-517-4916. And if you have any follow-up questions or want to reach out, definitely give me a call. Happy to talk with you. But today we are talking about the seller appointment. And really, this is a Ignite 2.0, so this is brand new for me. But I like, we're actually going to be going into Command and into Design, kind of showing you, you know, after today, hopefully you guys can go in, if you don't already have a listing presentation, and start crafting your own. And we'll go over scripts and things to say, and the goals of, you know, obviously the outcome is to get the listing. All right, so you guys have your Ignite packets and stuff, or do you? To kind of follow along, I'll have it up here too. So we'll page down. So make seller listing presentations and get the listings. Okay, so what the sellers want, kind of what we're going to do before the appointment. So we'll look at what sellers say they want and how that affects your conversations with them. You know, before the listing appointment, we're going to talk about the pre-qualifications and having those conversations before you ever step foot in the seller's house. That might decide whether or not you go. Then we're going to talk about what makes a good listing presentation and how to get the listing. I thought this was very interesting, and something definitely to remember. Oh, hold on, the Zoom call is, whoops. Oops, sorry. Let me get this smaller for you guys here. Okay, so how sellers found their agent. Almost 40% are referred by a friend, neighbor, somebody they knew, and 29% of people use their previous agent. So 70% of people, I mean, this just shows you why your database and Sphere and reaching out to people you know is so important. It's, you know, because that's where, you know, you're going to get your listing appointments. Only 4% were from the internet. So I feel like a lot of times when you're newer or just getting started, even now, sometimes you can get down that rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I have to have this huge internet presence and do all this stuff, which is great. It's definitely part of the business. But 70%, just quick, I mean, that is just people you know, and staying in relationship with your past clients and people. So I thought that was, you know, something definitely to keep in mind. And then this slide talks about what sellers want. And again, my Zoom is covering it. So 21% want help marketing their home. Go over here, sorry. 20% want to make sure it sells in a certain time frame. 19% want help pricing it competitively. 16% want advice on improvements to help their sale price, and 13% want help finding a buyer. Obviously, they want all. Only 11% stated that they wanted help with the paperwork, inspections, and negotiations. So still, just staying in relationship and staying and bringing that value is going to help on that previous slide, that 27%. Stay in a relationship here and doing that, your fiduciary duty is going to help you with that 27% of being used again. All right. So now we're going to talk about the process of converting a lead to a listing. So you have a possible lead, and you're talking on the phone. Maybe a neighbor or friend says that their friend wants to list their house. We're going to start with a pre-listing questionnaire. Then you're going to schedule a listing appointment, and then after that, you're going to send them a pre-listing packet. So we're going to start with that pre-listing questionnaire. So that's something that I do, so that you're not wasting your time. And there's a great one actually on Ignite in your toolkits. But basically, you're going to go through and you're going to ask them like why they're moving, what's their motivation, how soon do they need to be there. If you were to sell their house in the next 30 days, would that be a problem? Why do you think we're going to ask them to pre-qualify them? I like to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell? If they say a 5, I just want to put it up there just to see if I can get a price. The neighbors, they got a certain price. That might, tell you, you might not even want to go out and meet with them. Especially in a time like this with COVID and stuff. You have to, be careful as well. But it might be more of a, maybe they're looking for a pricing analysis or something different. But that way, you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting their time. But also, what's another reason to kind of ask these questions?
Motivation, but why they want to do it, where they're going.
Yeah. I like to do it as well to kind of know what personality you're dealing with when you go out in the appointment too, and kind of then by doing the pre-listing appointment or pre-listing questionnaire, I can get a gauge of whether they're a D, analytical, if they're going to want lots of, if they're going to want numbers, or they're going to want me to get straight to the point. You can kind of get a gauge of, it might help you with your pricing. I always like to ask on a scale of 1 to 10. I don't think this is on the one in Ignite, but how would you rate your house? Oh, a 7. Okay, well, what would make it a 10? Oh, we don't have granite countertops, and we don't, going through, I asked them what updates they've done, what would positively impact their house or negatively. So that way, I like to do just a one-step listing presentation too, where I can speak intelligently enough to the pricing and kind of have a great pricing, and we'll get to that later, conversation at the appointment. Some people might do a 2-step where you don't know what you're going into, so you can always go meet with them and come back with the pricing. But that's why I really like the pre-qualification. Heather, to your point, you can get the motivation, kind of their timing, so if they're a seller, they need to sell the next 30 days, or if they're talking, it's a different conversation if you're talking a year from now, and they may want to know what they need to do to improve projects to do so when they sell next year. So you don't obviously want to gauge your listing presentation to their needs, and this will help you identify kind of quickly. So I definitely, and when you're doing this with a pre-listing questionnaire, always ask if both decision makers will be there. So you'd hate to go through all this and then just the husband's there, just the whatever. So making sure that both parties are going to be there. What else did I write down? So with the pre-listing questionnaire, I like to, and I do this sometimes at the listing appointment too, if I didn't get a chance before. Again, with that, I think motivation is important too, but pricing is about 80% of selling a home. So as much information I can get on this conversation before I head out there. I like to say Zillow has your house valued at, and everyone's looking at Zillow. It's, whether it's right or wrong, it's a tool. It kind of gives you, asking them how they feel about their estimate can get, definitely give you some insight as to where their mind is at on their house. Okay. So we have do you guys know where the toolkit is and all this stuff is on with Ignite? I didn't know this until I started getting ready for this. Let me show you guys real fast. Escape, let's see here. Okay. Can you guys see the screen still?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. KW Connect, which is that you're like my KW, and then you go to KW Connect. And then I went to materials here.
Oh, I'll see you now.
Can you see it?
Now.
Oh, you can't. Okay, hold on. Let's see. New share. Let's see. Hold on. Share. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. All right. So I just went to my KW Connect, KW University, and then this materials is here. This is where you guys should be getting your your PowerPoints for all the Ignite classes. But in this Ignite,
where did you get to KW University? I'm at KW Connect, but I don't see that.
I went, let's see, great question. Oh, here, I hit Ignite.
Nine.
Is this where you are?
Mine doesn't look like that.
Good education?
Oh, I went under education, that could be. Let's see where I was before.
Yeah, education.
There, here we go. Okay, so I went to my KW Connect, my KW, and then I went to education. Thank you and then I went to Ignite here. And then materials. Oh, and then it's, let's see, hold on.
Okay.
The materials, and then I went to Ignite Toolkit. I don't know what the difference is, but we'll go here. That's not it.
Yeah, mine doesn't look
It's a
anything
little
like
different when
that.
I'm looking on my screen versus this big, let's try this one. Okay.
Yeah. that's
Yeah, okay.
I think at the top it said Canada too.
Oh, is that what that, okay, so hold on, guys, hold on. This is important, or we wouldn't have,
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys need to know where this stuff is, because there's scripts and there's, hold on. But maybe it was at the bottom. Ignite Toolkit. Maybe this is it. Okay, well, I'm in Rachel, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. When I went online, all right, I don't want to spend two, but, and in the, oh, there's Canada, I think it must be because I'm in,
No, because I've got the same
you
thing.
do?
Yeah.
I'm looking up all these in here. Okay. Canada student. All right. Well, I'll send it to you guys. We'll send it out. But my whole point was there's.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, scroll down
Oh.
to, it says Ignite Toolkit 4.1 docs.
That's where it
And
was.
It's about 3/4 the way down. You're real close to it right now.
Right here. I'm right here,
It's
right?
under the pre-listing.
Up one.
This one.
There you go.
Okay. We'll see. Okay. We'll see. This isn't what I was thinking of. I'll email you guys where it was. I apologize. I looked at it on my computer before coming in, but this is this is different, but this is where all the material is. So this is where, you know, the PowerPoints are and all the materials for any session, but there's scripts, there's the pre-listing questionnaires in here. I printed it off. And it was all under, it's called Ignite Toolkit, and I apologize.
It's right here. You have it.
It's in, okay. It's okay.
Still send it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. Sorry for that sidebar there, but that the pre-listing questionnaire that I went over with all those questions to ask. When we get, there's a also the pre-listing packet that we mail out, and we're going to talk about that. That's in this toolkit here. There's scripts in the toolkit, so I just wanted to make sure everybody knew how to get there. So now let me go back to the PowerPoint. Need somebody here. Share screen. Okay. Okay, so stuff here. Okay. So here, once we've pre-qualified the seller and we've scheduled the appointment with them, you're going to send them, we're going to talk about the pre-listing packet. And that's in that Ignite toolkit. For those of you here, the one that's in there. If you can find it, if you want to go, you know, and look at it. It's, you know, a guide to selling your home. Get ready to list. 5 factors affecting the value of your property. Get ready to sell. It's talking about a well-priced home versus overpricing it and the impact of that. So it's prepping your, you know, questions for you. So I think this is great. I send out, we do this in our team too. You know, send out, you can either email it depending on how much time you have, or, you know, mail it out, which is great. It's kind of, it sets the tone. We put also our listing documents in there as well, as far as the disclosure forms and things that they're, you know, going to have to fill out. We ask them to, you know, read this before we go out on the appointment. And then whether it's, you know, in their inbox or obviously prefer if, you know, if there's enough time to mail it or drop it off on their doorstep. But why do you think it's important to have a, you know, to send that pre-listing packet out?
That's the expectation for them to make it.
Yeah, and it kind of, you're kind of asking them to start working for you too and doing stuff too. Absolutely. Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom?
Well, they're probably likely meeting with another listing agent too. So this kind of sets expectations that you're professional and that they're part of the conversation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you guys hear that? Yes. And then, sorry, I thought I saw where it told us where to the Ignite toolkit. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so we're kind of in that. I mean, the goal should be stating your value. Kind of should be something in there about you or your team and what you're going to do. And to, I'm sorry, I'm not sure who said that on the Zoom call, setting yourself apart from other agents if they're, you know, interviewing other agents. Kind of, you know, you're answering questions for them, so you're building confidence in yourself, you know, helping build the seller confidence in you. And then also saving time. So if there's stuff that you know, you're asking them before we meet, I'm going to send you this packet or dropping this off or emailing it to you. Could you please take a look? It will make our meeting more efficient and save you time, you know, save us all time. Then that way there's less to go over when you actually are, meeting with them face to face. And they might have then better prepared questions for you too if they've looked it over. All right.
Do the majority of the people fill it out? Like,
That's a good question. I would say no, not the listing document. No. Some of the, like what I like about my home and stuff like that, but like the disclosures and stuff, they usually have questions. So, but the fact that they've looked through the stuff on your team and the stuff that you want them to see and how typically like how to prepare their house, that's what they're really interested in. Right? 11% only cared about the document prep. They want to know what their house is worth. So they're looking at the home value stuff, and like we have staging tips in there and getting your house ready for the sale of a lifetime. That's the stuff that they seem to be have referenced and read. Yeah. The paperwork's the boring part, right? Okay. So I'm kind of going out of order a little bit on this with the listing presentation because I kind of want to get to the guts. So, okay. This is a little bit different. So I want to go through the listing presentation with you guys and what I do on a listing appointment, if that's okay with you, kind of versus this guy's a little different than previous nights. So I'm going to go to command, guys. I'll stop sharing with you for a second because I think, where's command down here? Share. Okay. So I'm in Rachel's commands. So in designs here, guys, I think at our disposal have a really nice listing presentation. I switched mine to this. So if you go to, designs, and then you hit the create button over here, you want to create a print. You hit next. And I'm really going off script here. So, and then you go to listings here. And there's, a couple templates here. So I'm just going to pick this first one. I like this picture. And hit use. And then it is, let's see, sorry, this thing's at the bottom. I was trying to see how many pages this is. I don't know. It is like, let's say 15, 16 pages, and they're all great. So I'm going to go through and kind of show you why I like the order. I mean, kind of talk about like how to go through a house, and I can go, kind of quickly go through like what I say on a listing presentation, and then I can answer any questions. And definitely, if you guys have any questions, I know Elise is going to be monitoring the chat for me, so speak up, stop me. Definitely want this to be interactive, but I think this is a great listing presentation, and what I changed to this. My old one it was all like first couple pages were about me and my team and what we do to get homes sold. People just want to talk about themselves, like they care about them and their house. So this kind of flipped it, and it starts out with them right away. So obviously this first page, you can customize everything and change it to, this is the name of the sellers here. I'll click on this. So you just go, I'll get this bigger so people can see. So, you can put pictures, you can take pictures off the Otter site and put a customized picture of their house, or if you have time to drive by and take a picture, put a picture of their house in there. You're going to put your customized marketing plan. I mean, really, you don't even have to change any of this if you want to use, today we're going to go over your property guide, your custom marketing plan, and representing your home. And I'll go back through and I'll go through this if I were going through a listing appointment. And then literally page 3 is going to be a picture of their house. Let me zoom in here, guys. So you put their address up here, you enter their number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. Again, you put a picture of their house from the auditor site there. So they're like, oh, wow, that's my house. So here, and then you're going to talk about this is generic, but you're gonna customize it, right? Your home is 10% larger than the average house in Barton Hills. Your home has the average number of bedrooms compared to the average property sold in Barton Hills. Your home has one more bathroom than the average property sold in Barton Hills. I think this is kind of generic. I would, maybe talk about the yard or talk about, obviously, and where we're getting this is, have you guys had the class on like a CMA or comparative market analysis and pricing a home? Okay, great. So we're going on the MLS, we're looking at the neighborhood, we're comparing comps. And instead of bringing a comp sheet now, like with all the numbers, days market, all the numbers, this is how I'm presenting the information to them. So it's not like an eye chart anymore. We're talking about, so I'm giving them, of the 10 houses that sold in your neighborhood this year, and I'm going to relay this and give them property specific. Your house is more updated. And how do I know it's more updated? Because I did that pre-listing questionnaire and they told me they just remodeled their kitchen and bathrooms and they have all new hardwood floors. So that's why that pre-listing questionnaire is so important too, is so that you can, do this intelligently and, you can speak to it after, doing the comps for their neighborhood. So, based on this information and condition of your property, your home should command slightly higher list price or whatever, whatever you want to say, or average or below average because your house isn't updated and the others are, So I love this page and I feel like sellers really start engaging right away with me on this page. Like, oh yeah, like, oh, that's good to know. Or, like, I don't know. So that's why I like doing this. Then the next page, so this is all how their house compares to whatever you're comparing. It doesn't need to be neighborhood. Maybe you need to go further out and compare it to their school district. I mean, typically we'd like to stay in the neighborhood. Okay, so the next page. And these are all pages I use in my listing appointment too. I'll put this on. So this is, what's happening in, Worthington Hills or whatever, what's happening in your neighborhood. And all this, I just customize and I take from that CMA, whatever, if I pull in the last 6 months, last 12 months of sales, average list price, average sold price, and I just customize it. Total active listings, total pending, these are, days on market. So from this, and then from what I've also seen in the neighborhood, I customize this, hardwood floor, this is pretty much what buyers want, but this is saying, what else are buyers looking for? Hardwood flooring, open concept, bright kitchens, outdoor spaces. If that's not true in the neighborhood, then you need to change it. If no one, but like finished basements, I typically write in there. And then here, I usually put, since you last purchased your home prices have increased by days on, so I'm literally using their template and customizing it for all my listing appointments. Any questions? And this, once you do it, it doesn't take that long to do, but once you have your first, because some of them you can just keep using over and over. Obviously these are the pages you need to customize every time. But then I love this page too, because instead of printing stuff from the MLS, you can just drop and fill in. Again, you can take those pictures from the auditor site of the neighboring houses that you're comparing it to. I drop it in there and I let them know, and I have definitely more than 4 houses I'm, comparing to. But I, kind of pick the range of like what are most like their houses, based on square footage, based on the neighborhood, based on the lot. And kind of, this is where we get in our pricing conversation. Have you been in home A? Have you been in home B? Well, this house had this home, had this. So we got kind of going over all the features and benefits of each house, how quickly they sold. I point out what they listed at, what they ended up selling for. And not only the comparables, I'll print out then what's pending too. So not necessarily the sold. So that's whatever's in the pending or in contract. That's kind of showing what's going on right now in the market, with how quickly, whether it's shifting up or down, whether things are going crazy like they have been and, selling very quickly. But when things start to slow down, it's also going to be important to show them the in contract homes too, to show that, yes, this took, longer to sell or, whatever, when we do see a shift, it's important to talk about that too. So I typically have a couple pages on the comparable properties. And then this is when I do start my pricing conversation. So I'm getting into it really right away with them. I haven't talked about any marketing, anything that I'm going to do to sell their home. I've sent them the pre-listing packet yet. You know, I typically say then, you know, based on this, based on your neighborhood and the averages and what buyers are looking for, and you know, we've gone through what the range of on this kind of on this page, the highs and lows of their neighborhood, kind of, you know, the range of the average price is this, and you know, I'll share the high of sold. And based on your neighbors, based on your comparable properties, where do you, if you were buying today, where would you expect to see your house listed at? I never personally give them a price. I always ask them first. And I would say 75% of the time they give me a price. Well, I don't know. I think we're in that range because, you know, I think we're in that range of the price per square foot or the whatever, or I was thinking this. And then I typically, you know, with that would say, you know what, I'm in agreement or not, you know, agreement or why, you know, and this is why. But I think setting a stage and going through all the comps very diligently, like I said, 75% of the time, I think the sellers come up with a pretty realistic, I'm kind of obviously steering it because I'm showing them the certain houses, but within range of what I was thinking. And if they're not, then I just ask more questions. So if they were, you know, if all these houses were $350 and they tell me they want to list at 4, you know, well, why do you think yours is worth 4 versus, you know, and kind of having that discussion there. And if they're really out of range, you know, just kind of help me understand. I don't dwell too much on it. I do also talk about them. I'll bring in the appraiser too. Well, you know, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, you have your opinion of price. I have the opinion of the price. The buyer has an opinion of, you know, there's lots of opinion of the price. And even if the buyer might see that, you know, 50,000 over your neighbors, I'm making this up, but most likely in this price point, a lender, you know, it's going to be a loan, and the lender is going to send out an appraiser. An appraiser is also going to look at these exact comps and stay within your neighborhood and stay within a, you know, 2 stories like houses. And here, you know, like, again, reminding them that process, that it still has to appraise and kind of, if we start that high. Anyway, so I don't want to get too much into the pricing of it, but it is a big point of, I think, getting the listing. I mean, everyone typically wants to net the most amount of money, and as confident as you can come in with your pricing and have these conversations. And I think these pages on this listing presentation really help set that stage for this conversation. So typically, we say a price and we're kind of move on. It's nothing like, okay, yeah, I think we're in range. You know, let's say we've we've agreed on a price. Then I go on. And I like this page too. It's all about their needs first. And just kind of asking that question of like, if we can make this a perfect transaction for you, what would that look like? So it really stops you in this, and you know, you're listening to your sellers tell you what they want. Because it might be different. Some people might just want you to handle everything, and I don't want to be called, and less stress, and you know, it doesn't have to be the best price. I just want this to go quickly. And some people might be about price, or some people might be about being able to stay in the house as long as possible for their kids. So everyone has, you know, their perfect transaction, you know, is different. So it helps you take the assumption out of it. And then, whoops, I don't know what I did. Okay, let's go this way. What did I do? Okay. Maybe to refresh it. Probably not what I wanted to do. And this is the process. So we're gonna, go over this with them. And I do read every step. I'm not gonna read it for you today, but I think this is really important to help go over your value proposition too, as you're going through and explaining what you are gonna do specifically for them for each step. So, we're not just officially listing your property. We are going to, launch just listed campaign. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're going to email the thousands of people in our database or it's not that, we're going to tell the 250 plus agents in our market center about, we're the #1 market center in Columbus. We're going to tell all of our agents about your house, and all their buyers will know about your house. And we're going to do a reverse prospecting for your house. We're going to call around your neighborhood and let everybody know we're doing an open house this weekend. Whatever you're saying in there, whatever your value proposition is and what you're going to do, you better do it too. But this is, go through each. I think this is really important about even here, when you receive multiple, in the event you receive multiple offers, I'm going to, of course, obviously present them all to you, but not just present them and not just print all offers out. I'm going to do a spreadsheet and we're going to compare them side by side, and we're going to meet and sit down face to face if that's what's important to you, and go over the pros and cons of each one. So I don't just say I'm going to read and present all offers. I'm, going through what happens, what does that mean? And how does that benefit you, especially if they're interviewing other agents, what I'm going to do differently. And then here, this I like to use to explain to them, because they might not have bought or sold a house recently, what it looks like and what the timing from the time that they go under contract till the time they close, that's 30 days typically. So, if it's a loan, it's gonna, probably, 30 days. So, and then within that 30 days, everything that happens. And again, I'm going over the inspection, and buyer pays for that. And this is what the inspection's for. And they can, 25% of, contracts fall out, do the inspection. However, I'm going to hold your hand. We're going to get you through it. It's another negotiation. Again, you're explaining your value and what you're going to do. 80% of the work that goes into selling a house happens after it goes under contract. So telling them that and telling them what you're going to do for them. So I really like this page. I don't have, the next one is the app. Again, this is, you guys can pick and choose and add, pages that you want. I do the marketing pages, finding the buyer. I do let them know, because I think this is so important. And this is where I get into our marketing piece and why our marketing and staging and professional photography is so important. Because, here, let me blow this up so people can see it. Well, I don't even know what percentage this is, but it's huge, are using the internet to find their home. So this is why, obviously 100% of people, I think it's 95, but are shopping online for their house. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is why I'm going to have my stager come over and do a consultation. I'm going to get your house ready so it can appeal to as many buyers as possible. And that why, we're going to take professional photos, because your first showing is your pictures online. That's what's going to bring buyers to your house. So kind of going over the importance of that. And then your marketing piece. And this is all customizable, guys. You can edit it, what you're doing, what you're going to do to help your seller sell their home. And this is, we have definitely a couple pages in here that we've added to ours. Yeah, your media plan, your strategic promotion. I like this, your open house strategy. So not just that, hey, we're going to do open houses. This is what an open house means for us. And again, you can, if you don't do it, don't put it in here. But so delete, edit it. But, I think that's great. And it's people, usually are very engaged with this. And, you're asking questions. So then it's in the details. This says door knocking, photography. So again, you're going to make this custom. You're going to customize it to you. The next couple pages are about your experience. So you can use yours. You can use the market center numbers here. which I like. The proof is in my numbers. You could use the market center numbers if you don't have numbers here. Awards and credentials. The win-win. Again, if you had any like listing stuff that you want to show them, like flyers, brochures, or you could insert that in here. Featured listings. They have referrals. I also like this. I kept this promise script in here, or it's not a script, it's a promise. But here again, I kind of wrap up my listing presentation with about them and about creating that 10+ experience and what that looks for, and that how we're going to work really hard to achieve that and earn the referral business. So I start implementing the that we're going to earn the right to your referral business. And as you're working with us, and it's funny that when you start talking about selling a house or moving, it's amazing how it'll come up in conversation with coworkers. So if you know of anybody else that might need a great agent too, we'd love to help them. And it's just kind of doing that little. I just started doing this year, and I've definitely seen more referrals from sellers that with neighbors and stuff. It's almost like you're kind of planting that seed, that you're expecting a referral. And then just ending it up with, there's a selling safely, which I think this is new since and this might be all about social. I think it's pretty cool that Keller Williams has updated it with COVID stuff. So if you want to, put that in there, I think that's great. And then just like your contact information. So anybody have any?
Where did you find that?
This?
Yeah, that presentation.
Okay, so going back, the question was where I found this, guys. So I'll go back to, oh my gosh. It's in designs. Do you know how to get to designs?
No,
Yeah.
how do we get to design?
Okay, so you go to your dashboard and see I'm in, I'm in Rachel's, so I didn't want to. So designs is here, this little paintbrush. You see that over there? Have you been, this is command, we're in command, sorry.
Command,
Then we go to designs,
okay.
and then you hit the plus button to create a design. And then you just hit print. And it's listings, presentations, and it was right there. And there's a couple templates. I just went through that first one. I'm sure they're probably the same pages, just different. Like if this is black, it's probably just different. Yep. And then I bind mine too. So I do that, and we have ours customized. And then with like a hardbound book. So, I mean, you can do whatever you want to bind it with, but I feel like it's just a little bit more professional. I don't know, whatever gives you confidence, because it's all about walking in that door with confidence. So, questions? I can kind of go through then what I do on a listing appointment. Does that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Any questions out there on Zoom? Sorry, I don't have you guys on a.
Hi, it's Barb Schaefer.
Hi, Barb.
Hi, sweetie. I have some questions. That page where towards the beginning where you get that you love that page where you're giving them the stats for just their, let's say, suburb.
Yes.
Do you get some of that from your CMA? Like, I know once you analyze things come up in your mind that you can put down there, but I'm just trying to understand all the places you're getting that information in your head.
No, so the first place I'm getting it is the questionnaire, and it's, I kind of I go off script, but it's the, on a 1 to 10, how would you rate your house? I love that one because usually no one ever has said 10. And then, okay, well, what would make it a 10? And then usually it's, oh, well, my kitchen's not updated, or it is, it's a 9 because I just updated my kitchen. So you kind of, I'm getting, oh, okay, oh, great. What color are your cabinets? And so I'm asking them questions so I kind of know what their house looks like. And especially if it's been listed before, if it's in the MLS, of course, as they're talking, I'm looking through their old pictures. when they're telling me what updates they've done. So I know if they have wood floors, finished basements, all that kind of stuff, so that when I'm going the rest of it, then how I'm comparing that then to the neighborhood is through what's sold, right? The CMA, and I'm looking through each picture.
Uh-huh.
So I comb through each of the listings, the pictures. I comb through the agent to agent remarks, if there's an update sheet in the MLS, so I know like, oh, it had new wood floors and new roof and new HVAC. So I'm taking really diligent notes on each house to know the pros and cons, and kind of seeing then I can make those assessments of, well, the top 3 record sales all had finished basements, 3-car garages, like updated kitchens, so I can kind of then make those comments on the page.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, when you went through that page where you're going through the steps of selling their house,
Yes.
One, do you go through it when they've sold many houses? That's number one. Or if let's just say they've only sold one house or no houses, do you say everything verbally, or do you have also something under each category? Do you have the things that you're saying verbally or not? Because it starts.
I just know it in my head because I've practiced it and I've said the stages so much. So I don't have it.
Good.
It's all totally in my head, but I would, to answer your first question, even if they just bought and sold, I don't want to assume they knew everything that their agent did. And it's very quick. I go through them very quickly.
Uh-huh.
But I want to tell them what we are going to do for them as a team to market and launch. And like everyone thinks that, selling a house in this market is so easy. And it is compared to other markets, but
Yeah.
I want them to know what the value, the 3% commission is earning. So absolutely, I would definitely go over everything that we're doing in each of these phases.
Okay, and then do you, because my background is design, interior design, I basically stage it when I can with their furniture, but if I can't, do you pay for somebody else to come in and stage it if it really needs furniture and really a lot of staging, or how do you do that as far as paying?
I do not. I paid for minimal staging before, but I had also had the clients pay for it. If it needs, I do a staging consultation. That's part of my, that's part of our fee, I guess I should say. So I pay for that. But if there's furniture needed, that would be on a seller to pay for in my.
So would that cost be about $150, or what would that?
A consultation?
Yeah.
That's about right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. Nope. So Barbara, just to go back even over this process, I go through each one. Even going under contract, like what that means, and from the timeline, overseeing the appraisal. I say, pre-COVID, we go out and meet the appraiser and give them an appraisal packet and let them know, versus an average agent just letting the appraisal happen. We're going to let them know like how we came up with the listing price. If there were multiple offers, I'm going to send them the appraiser. I use the first page of the contract, and I to show them the market value. It's not a comp, but it says, hey, we had 5 offers all over, list price. Here's the here's what the market says the value is. I send them. I don't depend on them to go in the MLS and look at the updates. I send them all the updates the sellers have used. So I definitely point that stuff out to sellers of, I'm working hard for you, and not every agent does this. This is what we do. So, yes.
Okay, that's good to know, because these little details, when you've either done it not at all, or if you've done it for years, it's always good to hear what somebody else does.
Yeah, and then this kind of, for me, we're talking about all the marketing that we do, so then it makes our marketing pages and when we were, showing them our photography and stuff, like I kind of skim over that because I've talked about it here too. And I just reiterate it.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Anybody else? Everybody. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so I'll go through, like, if this was my listing, if this is a listing appointment, I had this filled out, what I would do. Okay. We'll start with this page. And I gotta shrink the Zoom people so you guys. Oh, hopefully. Okay. So, okay, I guess I'll step back. So first and foremost, listing appointment. I walk up to the house, pen in hand, notepad, and I'm taking notes. So I'm going up to the house, taking notes on the curb appeal, if the mailbox needs painted, condition of the driveway, roof, everything, you know, whatever. So I'm walking up and I'm standing outside and they might see me, they may not, and I'm taking my notes. So obviously get there on time. You know, so that's important. Clean car, clean appearance. I go in and I do obviously introduce myself. Thanks for having me over today. Put my stuff down typically in the kitchen table. That's the most, common place, to sit. And then I do a walk through the house. And, if they don't, I'll ask, I'll say I can do it on my own, or if they prefer to, walk through with me. Ask different agents different things, and some say they, might always go on their own because they want to see it without the, the sellers in their ear kind of telling them all the, great updates. I like to walk through with them. I think it starts building that rapport. I think it's a great way to start asking questions that, such as like, oh, when you guys were shopping, why did you choose this home over other homes? So, you're building that rapport. And the whole time I'm taking notes too. Right? I'm going to take notes, and when you decide to list with me, we'll go over all the, the great tips and tricks, I'm writing down to help keep your house ready. So I don't share with them, but I'm writing the notes down. And I might, that sometimes they'll, when you're walking through a house, they'll want you to, ask, oh, should we update the carpet, or should we? And I'll tell them, after we're done today, we can talk about all the, all the notes I'm taking. When we decide to list with me, we'll go over. I have a lot of great ideas on how we can help you, and we'll go over that. So I don't really share with them. Maybe they ask me like little things that, I'm going to share with them, but why give them all your great advice and, if you don't know if they're going with you together or not. So, but I do, as we go through, I walk through with confidence, like I assume I have a listing appointment. So I try to use words like, well, when we list, we're going to open up all the curtains here in this room and let in as much light as possible, like or in their bathroom. When we list, we're gonna, open the shower curtain and, have it hanging like this. So I'll give them a couple little tricks like that, just to kind of use that. But when we have this listed, let's convert this bedroom into I have great ideas of what we can do with this room. Maybe I wouldn't say what we would do, but when we list, we'll talk about what we can do with this room so that it appeals to as many buyers. Okay, great. And I'm still taking notes. So we've walked through the house. I've asked, we're talking about their favorite rooms, and we kind of talk a little bit too. But I do it quickly. My listing appointment's about an hour. And that's walking through the house. That's getting the appointment. That's getting the listing. I'm kind of to the point. I don't. So then we sit back at the table, and this is where I would pull out the listing presentation here. So we've gone through the house. I know all their updates. We've had that before. I know in my head what they need to do the house to get it ready. I'm sitting down, so typically I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have 3 main goals for us to go over today. One is to go back and make sure I understand your timing and motivation, that we're all on the same page. Because typically I've only talked to one person during that pre-listing questionnaire about timing and motivation. And sometimes husband and wife partners, differ. So I always say that, like, I'd like to go over the timing and motivation to make sure we're all on the same page. Second, we're going to go over pricing so we can all agree on a price that will cause your house to sell. And then third, we're going to go over all the next steps, and hopefully you'll, maybe not say hopefully, but you'll feel confident enough to, we'll be a good fit, and that we can talk about the next steps and moving forward together. What was the third one? The third one was to talk about next steps. I just say we're going to talk about next steps and getting it sold, and you'll feel confident enough to work with me. We can talk about the next steps of working together. And then I say, okay, all right. So then I get right away into, boom, your house. And we're talking, this is the, well, so then we talk timing, motivation. They repeat what they, what they told me before. Typically, it is the same stuff. Then we go over the house. And this is where that pricing, this is where most of my, the time spent preparing for this listing appointment was all for in my mind. It was just these pages. So when I go on a listing appointment, I kind of have a low, medium, high range of where I think the house should be priced at. And I definitely have gone in and think, it's probably average and it's been blown away. And vice versa. I, in my head, pictured more updates, and it wasn't as updated as somebody's updates over the phone, or a little bit different than my idea of updated. So that's why I like to have kind of like that range so I can quickly adapt. But this is where we have the pricing conversation. So I go over their neighborhood. Sorry, guys. Go over this one, what's happening. We go over what their house has versus others don't. And I do, when we go, after we go over the comparables, I say, based on this information, if you were buying a house in Garden Hills, what would you expect your house to be listed at? And I tell you, most of the time people, 75%, maybe higher, give me a price. I don't know if it's just because we've gone through, and then I usually say, well, we're in range, and I've had my notes, and I pull them out, so I'm not lying. Like, I don't just say, great, that's what I was thinking, just to get the listing. Obviously you don't want to take an overpriced, house. Sometimes I'm even thinking more, like, they're not in real estate, they're just kind of watching whatever, that, sometimes I actually think your house could sell. And this is what I was thinking for, after looking at your neighbors and looking at everything, I think your house is this. And I do that either way, if they're low or they're high. But typically we're not too far off. So we're in range, it's good. I think we're all, we're on the same page here, and then I kind of keep talking. It's not like great, we're gonna list at this price, shake your hand, as long as we're in range, then I keep the conversation flowing. And then this is where I ask, if we could wave a magic wand, what is this transaction? What does this look like for you? And let them talk.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
When you get back to the comps, because that page is so small, and you've got just
This page?
the next page.
Oh, this page.
Yeah, page. That would be very hard for me to get everything on one page.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. When I did this before, I would use multiple. 8 comps, whatever when I go over a CMA in the past, and I always have the CMA with me, like the printout of all houses. Even if there were like 30 comps in the neighborhood, I don't know about you, Barbara, but when I go over them, I literally hone in on probably no more than 8.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the top 2 of where I think are like houses. There's no point in if their house is updated, no point in comparing their house to one in their neighborhood that wasn't updated, other than just to show them that's what a house not updated is selling for. Yours is, but yours is more like this. So no, I think that's why you can customize this. You can make three of these pages and show them.
Okay, I just didn't know, because I write big anyway. So,
Yeah, no.
so I was just curious if you put them all on
No,
one.
that's a good point. I would just make a couple of these pages then and show them
Okay.
however it takes to get your point across
Okay, just
for the pricing. And then we talked about the process page. I feel like enough, but that is, I think, the other. I feel like I spend the most time on the pricing pages and then the process page, to be honest. And then with that, I always stop and make sure you're asking them if they have any questions, especially after pricing. Do you have any questions before I move on? With the process, I go through each one, and there are, I know I'm just doing all the talking here, but when I'm on a listing appointment, questions about that process. Oh, well, who pays for the inspection? A lot of you don't assume that they know everything. So that's why I go through each bullet and I say, well, the buyer pays for the inspection, and if they can terminate, and let them know what that means in the contract wise, the contract's contingent on two things, and that's why I really like going over contract to close and what happens here.
Do you have a page that has the prices or not?
The prices?
Of the cost. It's really more the buyer, has.
Oh, for the buyer, you mean? No, I don't on this. I just let them know that that's typically a buyer. That is a buyer cost with their home inspection.
Okay.
Yep. And then I go through the marketing, which I think is outlined. Why isn't this scrolling? Like on this, like your social media plan, and talk to them on, why social media is so important, and the marketing and the outreach. And I talk about command and our Facebook ads, how many clicks we're getting, per ad that we do, and how many buyers are going to be really specifically, seeing them. And I explain to them that AI. I think sellers want to, hear that. What you're doing for them, and how, I explain, when you're on Facebook and an ad pops up, like if you're a buyer, they know you're looking at real estate. So your house, we pay for ads to get specifically in front of your buyer's faces. So they always kind of, oh, really, light up with that because they can relate, because everyone's on social media. So we go through this. Again, each of these bullet points are really under that process page that I go through of what we do. And then the open house strategy, like I said, if you don't do it, delete it. But if you do it, I think those are great, all that stuff. Anybody have, so then I guess in closing, I can say how I close it, because I feel like I went over all this. I don't want to bore you guys. So going through all this, and then I kind of end with the promise here of like what that means to them and what our team's going to do, and how, we work with integrity. And I don't take it lightly that this is, one of the biggest transactions of most people, the financial transactions of most people's lives. And obviously we've gone through the numbers and how many we sell. And I typically just say, I think we'd be a great fit. I'd love to work with you. Do you think I could get your home sold? Just a simple question. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Let's get to work. The next step is filling out, once I have these listing documents signed from you, the listing agreement, I can start marketing your home. So even if they're not listing right, they're gonna get an MLS, but we can start, if we have that MLS waiver signed, the inner office one, that we can start talking about the listing to other agents in our market. We can talk about we can do coming soons now. So we can talk about that as a strategy in the MLS up to 30 days prior. So depending on when their timing is, I would definitely get the listing agreement signed before you leave, and not like, oh, we'll send it to you in .loop or DocuSign later. I get that signed, and if they prefer to do everything else electronically, we'll email that to them. But I do like to go over the disclosures with them, especially the RPD, the Residential Property Disclosure Form, because I feel like a lot of sellers don't fill that out completely. There's always something missed. So I typically point out the ones that are missed, and don't forget here, and that explaining that it's a legal document and that they need to fill it out as, to the best of their knowledge, and it's always best to disclose. And then obviously the consumer guide, you're going to get signed if that's your first meeting with them then too. So the consumer guide and the listing agreement, I would well, I would have those old school printed out with me personally filled out already, and just to have, you know, the quick signatures. With that and the waiver, you can start marketing, you can start talking about it with your buyers and agents in your office. And then you can do an extended, if they're not ready to list right that second anyways, then do a 7-month listing agreement versus 6 months, just to kind of cover the whole time period.
So how do you handle the objection if you say, oh, you know what, we're gonna, we still want to talk to somebody else, or we've got another one?
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Is there, you know, typically when someone says that, do you feel obligated to work, or do you feel, is there something I haven't answered that you know, are still looking to get an answer on? Try to like isolate it, which is bold. That, I don't know if you guys have taken that, and I know it's a little different now that it's not in line, but like they always teach you to isolate, like other than needing to talk to that other agent, is there anything, any other reason you wouldn't list with me today? Oh no, we just told them we had to, you know, we promised them. Why? And you guys did a lot of work preparing for me. And, you know, if you feel confident, I feel confident. You can even offer, you know what, just so that you don't have to waste his time or the time of getting your house ready again, another hour, especially with COVID and everything. I'll call and cancel that appointment for you if you want. Yeah, be bold, you know, it doesn't hurt if you're confident, you're friendly. You know, if they still insist,
My trees fell over.
you can also say, well, you could sign it today. That way it can start. You still feel like you need to meet with that other agent. You know, I'll tear up I'll tear it up and I'll send it to you and I'll mail it out to you. But at least that way you've gotten them to sign so they can tell the other agent, well, we've already signed with her. So that's, you know, I'm here. Why don't we just go ahead and sign it? If you meet with them and you feel that that person's going to do a better job or you feel more confident, I'm not going to hold you to a contract. I'll tear it up and put it in the mail. That's what I would do.
Have you ever done it?
But
Have you ever done that?
no, I have done the I'll tear it up. I won't. Yes, that one. I haven't done the I'll call the other agent. That's a bold script.
I know it is. I've
Have
heard
you done, Barbara?
I've heard this before. Well, to be honest with you, I've never had anyone to say they will have to speak to another agent. I mean, I've been lucky. Thank God.
Well, there's a stat in the Ignite booklet, and I was, you know, when I'm trying to read and talk and everything at the same time, but it's something like only like 75% of sellers only interview one agent. So most likely you're the only one, right? So get it. Be confident, be prepared, have all your listings. And then, so obviously, you know, and then I think the rest of them only interview like 2 agents. So you really typically are only competing with one other agent.
And to the younger people that haven't done this too much, be aware that, because this happened to me when I was younger, I worked really hard to prepare for this listing presentation, and there was one of the top agents that came before me, so I was after her. I ended up getting the listing, and one of the reasons was, well, of course, he liked my price, but more than that, I think it's because the other agent came in and was so braggadocious about her and what she does and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't like that at all. It was all about them. So I think they like my style also better than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Keller Williams flipped the listing presentation and made it all about that, you know, starts with them and not the typical agent and bio and yeah.
Yeah. So they can feel a little nervous, but I didn't even know who they interviewed and that they interviewed anyone until I came in. So I go in not even worrying about who they're interviewing with. I go in just being confident in what I'm doing.
Anyone else out there have any thoughts or?
Do you ever ask who they're who else they're interviewing with, or you just say, have you interviewed with anybody else, or are you interviewing with anybody else? Do you even ask that?
Don't, no, the only time, I assume I am because I do call for sale by owners and expired, so I assume that I'm interviewing with other
Yeah.
other agents,
Mm-hmm,
but you're always in your A game anyway,
mm-hmm.
but I don't ask, no.
Yep, I don't ask either. I just do the best I can. That's all.
Sue, do you ask?
Karen, it's
Yes.
Sue Gleach. Sue Gleach.
Hi.
That is a great question. Do you ask the other agent? I used to all the time. And now I'm kind of like you. I really don't know. I don't want to know. Yeah, you know, I go in confidently enough about my own, but sometimes that does get into the conversation, and you just naturally ask, you know, but I don't make it a point anymore
Good.
to do it. That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Well, that's because you get all the listings. Miss Sue Gleach. I don't know if she heard me.
Katie, how about you? Do you have any questions, or what do you use for your listing appointment?
Sorry, I used Command. I basically joined right into KW and just took control of Command. So I use the listing appointment template. I've been fortunate that mine have all been referrals so far, that I haven't really been competing. But I know that's coming, so that's why I do these, because I'm starting to run out of friends buying and selling.
That's great. So yeah, I like Command too. So, but I know I'm kind of short. I mean, this is it. I mean, as far as anybody else want to talk about, I mean, any other questions or objections or questions that you've had on listing? Anybody have a listing appointment coming up that they want to ask a question for, or?
I have one question. Sorry, guys, I'm asking too many questions, but I wanted to know, are you doing these listing presentations by Zoom? And if you are, how difficult is that? Because I haven't done that, and I'm a little nervous because I don't know how to do it.
I have not. I've gone. I felt very comfortable. When it was warmer out, we were sitting out on the deck doing them. So I did the walk. I've been doing the walkthrough by myself. You know that I said I usually like to go with the homeowner. I've been asking to do it kind of separate with the. I mean, obviously there's no handshaking. Everyone's wearing masks. I don't touch anything. I ask them to have the lights on so they can. And then we have been sitting on the deck. But now that it's 4 or 6 feet apart in the house, so I haven't done. We've done a lot of Zoom buyer consultations, and I think I hope we continue to do that. I don't know. I mean, I like the face-to-face too, but the Zoom's very convenient. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're working. We're converting them. So, but no. Anybody else done a Zoom listing presentation?
I haven't done, this is Sue again. I haven't done a Zoom listing presentation. I've done my initial consultation with them via Zoom before I go out to the house, because, well, you kind of do it through a phone interview. I do it through Zoom. To determine, you know, their motivation and that sort of thing, especially during COVID. And I want to make sure if they have any questions about COVID that I can answer that, because that seems to be a big question with a lot of them right away today.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
That you do a staging consultation.
Yes.
One of the things you offer. So can you give us a little bit of input as far as how much you go into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I've been doing it long enough that I don't need to pay for it, but I do, because then it saves my time from another step out. Okay, step back. If their house is HGTV and it's beautiful, you know, I'm in there praising them like, oh my gosh, we can take pictures tomorrow, which is the truth, you know, I'm not blowing, but it's going into what they do. So my stager will go then, and I tell you, room by room with them, and they're not there to move stuff, but they're there to say, let's put this couch against this wall. and do this, and let's edit your mantle. You have too many personal pictures up. Let's just put this, and they'll go room by room. They'll kind of do a walk through the house first to see what's available, and then they might take, it's amazing what they can do. Like take a picture from another room and put it above the mantle, and just kind of, I like to use the word edit. Like there's a bookcase and it's full of books. They're going to help them. Okay, let's just put 3 books vertical this way and clean it up so it's just not so cluttered. And I explain it like the stager will do it so it's like from the eyes of the photographer or the picture itself, so that we want the buyer to focus on the bones of the house and that there's crown molding, not that there's a crazy picture over, you know, color picture over that doesn't match anything, or there's, you know, like there's, you know, too many prints or too many patterns, or there's, you know, if there's really old drapes up, like up. And I kind of set the stage too. I'm like, well, she's probably going to have you take your drapes down. So, you know, if we want to show all the light in here and your great wood windows off, like, we don't want to show your 80s, you know, like, yeah, but like, you know, it's going to really update the house, just taking like things like that. So I couldn't even preface, like, give an idea of what to expect. And then I tell them that, you know, we'll set a couple of days in between when the stager comes and the photographer so that they have time to do what she has suggested. And it's really up to them to do their homework or not. If they want to sell their house.
So if they weren't willing to pay for a stager, would you pay for it?
Oh yeah, I do pay for the stager. You know,
Oh, you do?
I do. The staging consultation, yes.
Okay.
If they need furniture, I think Barbara had asked that. Like if they needed, and that could be thousands of dollars depending on how big the house is and how, so that would be, you know, something that I can offer them. Like, hey, if we need furniture, just stuff like that. Yeah. And I have paid for when they just didn't have stuff because it benefited me. A stager to bring like accent pillows and little things like that to the house, but not like full blown staging of a house yet. I've done the virtual staging of empty homes. So, hi, Lindsay. She's on or not.
Hi, sorry I'm eating lunch. Sorry I'm late.
Okay, no apology. No, do you have any? I don't know if you were on or not. I just looked and saw your name popped up. So
I was very, very late. So I'm going to catch the beginning recorded. Thanks for hosting this.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, so no question.
I had a question about photography. Do you have like a certain price point you base that at as far as if you hire a photographer, or do you just always use one?
I always hire a photographer, but I don't have a, that's not my background. And, you know, I guess it's time too, but you know, I hear what you're saying. Like it was I always hire it. Even Virtuance is like $100 or 120, you know, if you had like a, so, but there, I do use different photographers, I guess, I would use one of my higher end photographers for a, I guess, lower end home, especially if the seller wasn't willing to fix it up, or that makes sense.
And you generally pay for that, not the seller?
Yes, I pay for the photography and a staging consultation out of my, but I do charge 3% commission. So, and then if I, you know, if they're buying with us, I usually do discount it. I don't know why I'm shooting that. 2%.
Well,
2.5. Yeah.
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 Two of them. Well, that pair needs to go because.
Oh, Sue. That's a good question, though. Any other? I like answering questions. Lindsay, sorry, I was finished up already, Lindsay. So I'm just answering questions right now.
Okay, awesome. I'll catch your recording. Even the few minutes I caught, you already gave me information. So thanks so much.
Oh, great.
How much do you discount if they are doing both transactions with you?
2.5.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I do too.
You
But
can't have that conversation. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm sorry, Sue. Ah.
what do you mean?
Thanks, Sue. Yeah. And it's recorded. That's great. Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Can we delete the last 5 minutes?
All right.
Hi, Katie.